Here we go with the Gurgu Volcano, or Gulag Volcano, or however you know it. Looking right away at the floor tile, the first floor has, this looks like the Hydra, the red Hydras, by the way. The first floor still has the rim of the volcano look to it, which is something that totally went over my head when I first played Final Fantasy I back on NES. I didn't understand the visual language there, but it's actually pretty cool that it's a round floor with a lot of lava at the top of this volcano. I also didn't quite get the visual storytelling that they do in the vanilla version, where you are going down from the top of the volcano, going down rather than the bottom of a dungeon going up. So also consistent with vanilla version, we have the second floor of the dungeon is very large, kind of sprawling. It's a bit of a maze. I think the maze element has been toned down a little bit in this version, but in the vanilla version there's a lot of backtracking and a lot of extra walls. Also, there's a lot of spiked squares with these elementals. I believe in the vanilla version, elementals generally appear in trap squares. I'm not sure if they even have a random list to them, but I'd have to check the battle tiles. So they might be able to show up randomly, but generally the earth elementals and the fire elementals in these first two fiend dungeons appear generally as treasure chest guardians. And a lot of the treasure in here, in the vanilla version, a lot of it is irrelevant. There's a couple of important pieces, but a lot of it is just a nominal amount of gold or some armor or weapon that's on par or below the equipment that you already have. Here I pick up a level up to level 17. And again, consistent with vanilla version, you just think like, why, you know, just kind of an inconsequential amount of gold, and there's a heal potion there, but that is absolutely in line with what you would find in the vanilla version. So the way they protected those chests down there was, rather than individual spiked squares in front of the chests, we have spiked squares entering the chest chamber. So just a choice on that. I ran into both of them there because it looks like it's both squares next to each other are trapped. So fire elemental. The heal staff is going to help me a lot down here. And the heal staff appears to be giving more hit points than the vanilla version. That might be me dreaming, that might be me going crazy. But it appears like it's giving 40 to 60, which is more in line with casting heal 2 than casting heal 1. It might be me going crazy, but it just seems like characters are getting a little bit more hit points than I would expect them to in the vanilla version, which I'm happy about, though. I'm absolutely happy about that. That's the red Hydras. Again, we did see the Aurea-type enemies. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. We did see them in the river system, and now we're seeing the red version of them, which is consistent with the vanilla version. You do run into the Hydras, and then their red counterparts down here. And I think we'll see them even later in the Temple of Fiends Revisited when we go to the fire floor. But the dungeon tiles, generally in this dungeon, have been brightened, as have many dungeon tiles in this game. And I do like the textures of the floor. They have a bigger texture, so the floor texture isn't quite as messy or as dense. Seems to be made of larger flagstones or larger stones on the ground, and that does make it a little bit easier to kind of track your progress and see where you are in the field. The other ones, the caves seem to be darker. Now this one has some torch sconces on the wall. I don't know if that's part of the color choice there, is that because there's torch sconces on the wall that it would be a little bit brighter in here. Here's the giant sword. We've got 4777. I'm just checking to see how well the giant sword measures up to my ice sword. 3979, so little bit lower attack, slightly higher attack percent, but it's not enough to bring me up to another hit, so I'm going to go with what I have already. Go with that ice sword that we picked up in the Castle of Ordeals. The Ankeg enemies, I think, are the Peed enemies. P-E-D-E. They look like a centipede in the vanilla version of the game. And here's another battle with the red Goyles, and these guys again can just absolutely crush you, especially if they can get in a back attack and just go nuts with their fire too. They're all targeting fire attack. This is kind of a Gurgu Volcano 101 when you're playing, especially if you're unfamiliar with this, as in a Romhack or you're a new player, is you need to do it in stages, particularly going out to save after that second floor. So you go in, grab some treasures, come back out, recover, go back to Crescent Lake if you need to restock on potions, etc. Or stay at the inn and save up. I chose not to do that, but I did want to save in case I ran into trouble down here. The heal staff greatly reduces the kind of trouble I can get into from random enemies down here in the volcano, so it's probably an abundance of caution that I went out there, but if you don't have the heal staff, it's really important to be watching your resources. Especially with this possibly buffed up heal staff. Again, that's just a guess. I don't have a full readme in front of me on this one. I'm just going by the numbers that I'm seeing. We're getting 40 and 50 plus pretty consistently sometimes. So I'm not sure if it's been buffed up to heal 2 or if maybe just the heal spell has had its effectivity bumped up a little bit. Either way, I'm happy with how much my heal staff is restoring, because when you fight enemies that can just target one, they will kind of spread their attacks around, and that allows you to keep up with healing for free from that staff. So it saves you a lot of heal potions, and it allows you to just walk over that lava with abandon, with no worries, because the next battle you're in, you're going to be fine. You're just going to restore all of that. Now, we noticed that it told me I can't carry the silver gauntlet. That is something that you do not have the luxury of in the vanilla version. If you get up to a chest with an item, either it's a weapon or armor, and you don't have room for it, and it particularly becomes a problem with armor, you don't have room for it, the game just tells you you don't have any room for this. I'm not sure exactly the wording that the vanilla version uses, but it hides what is in there, and that causes a lot of frustration in the late game, especially in the last couple of dungeons, because there are some pieces of irrelevant equipment that pop up, and you get to a chest, and in order to see what is in that chest, you have to drop a piece of equipment that you have. And it may be something like a silver helmet, which has by that time been obsolete for a long time. And you will have dropped maybe your pro ring or something to make room for this thing, which you think maybe is something good. Maybe it's another ribbon. Maybe it's that dragon armor. Maybe it's the Aegis shield that I've been waiting for. So you drop something either expensive like the pro ring. And see, here we have the red Goyles just wreaking destruction upon the party here. And again, that's something that you can have, the Horned Devils. That's something you can have happen. They can just go nuts with Fire 2s and just absolutely destroy you. So I'm going to go through the some quick Cure 2 healing. Cure Potion healing, I should say. And enjoy the sound effects of lots of healing. Now, I don't need to quite heal all the way back up to full, because I will have the heal staff to kind of bring me there. So with some of the characters I did, some I didn't. But the Zeus Gauntlet also is helping me a lot. The Zeus Gauntlet casts Lit 2, Bolt 2 on all enemies, and you can use it for free and use it over and over and over again. It's a critical pickup, because it is the first in the vanilla version, and also in this version, it's the first all-targeting free attack item you get, besides the Cleric Hammer, which is, this one does not exist, of course, in the vanilla version, and in this hack, the Cleric Hammer casts Harm 1. So you can get infinite casting of Harm 1, which only damages undead, And even by this time, undead have enough hit points that harm 1 is not too much of a threat to them. It's certainly worth using at some points, but it's becoming a little bit obsolete. Undead are a little bit too much hit points, and they're a little bit too dangerous to leave them hanging around, especially if they're in a big group. It's worth it to use on, say, a pair of zombies, but a group of 6 or 7 undead that have the ability to stun lock your party. It's not really worth it. This is a battle with Peds, and I'm not sure what enemies the were-tigers have replaced. My memories of the volcano aren't as fresh, I guess, as they could be. The same really goes with those Toro Fuegos, and they're just the step below them. I can't remember, some kind of bull thing. I'm not sure which enemies they replaced. But we have the newer-looking Ogre Mage, and that's a naming convention that is consistent with vanilla version. One of the very few names that really stayed around in different versions of this game was the Ogre Mages, because even green ogres became like an ogre chief. Now this is an interesting floor, because I'm heading left, and I see some stairs, but I generally don't like to proceed on to the next floor, especially when I'm exploring a new game like this particularly, until I have confidence that I've kind of cleared the floor out of any treasure or notable things, because this is an exploration run of this, which is why I've been going through the game a little bit over-leveled, so that we can have some smooth dungeon crawls and not worry about these killing us. Now, so there's some stairs going up, and that looks a lot like what I just came in on, and there's some stairs going down again that look a lot like the stairs that I just passed before. So this room, I'm suspecting, is a repeating floor, which we see in a couple of dungeons in the vanilla version. I think the one that comes to mind, the most notable one that comes to mind, is in the Sky Palace, which is set up as a big grid, and the stairs going up into that floor and the stairs going up to the next floor are just located a couple of grid spaces away from each other. So here is this floor. I think we're on floor 4 now, and this one is consistent with what's in the vanilla version of just a mostly lava-covered floor. And I believe it's just to kind of drain your resources a little bit. Here we have my 30 frames per second. Sometimes shows the white flash of the damaged floors, and sometimes it does not. And that's just a result of my movie processing. So do not worry about that. When you play it at 60 frames per second, you get the flashing on every frame, or every other frame, I'm sorry, so it does flash consistently. But when you do it at 30, it skips every other one. That's why you're seeing that. And your step counter for battles does not advance while you're on damaged floors, and you cannot get in a random battle while you're on a damaged floor. So it really is, especially when you have access to the heal staff and kind of infinite healing and restoration, it is advantageous to just walk right on over those floors. And here I mistakenly go back up to the previous floor. And that's kind of a result of the battles on this floor disoriented me a little bit. That has actually been kind of rare in this hack, with the way the dungeon floors have been kind of opened up and made a little bit brighter and been redesigned with their layout. It's less common, for me at least, to get lost on these floors than in the vanilla version, or say like in other hard hacks. I'm thinking of like Final Fantasy ZZ, which is a very, very difficult hack of this game. A lot of the random battles have been really boosted in terms of how difficult they are, and thus how much time they take. So your brain really has time to forget which direction you are heading. So there's a lot of accidental backtracking worked into games like that. So here we have can't carry the silver helmet, but I know I don't want it, so I don't have to drop something to see it. Now, and that is a common improvement on many ROM hacks of this game. I have seen that, I think, in all of them that I have played. The game, they give you the the benefit of being able to see what's in the chest so you know if you need to drop something to pick it up. So gone are the days of dropping your pro ring only to pick up a silver helmet. And this is, there's a reference here possibly to, in the vanilla version, there's a room that has two chests on top of each other, one another. And both of them are protected by the red lizard enemies, the agamas. And here's a fire lizard, and that is a classic place to level up. If you've picked up the heal staff, you can walk back and forth between those two trap squares and fight one fire lizard, or it's called an agama in the vanilla version. And so here's another trap battle. Now, unfortunately, we have some werewolves, so this doesn't look like a good place to grind, but you can go back and forth between the two squares, and speedrunners use that for some leveling when they need it because it doesn't advance your step counter. So it's a way for you to keep control of your step manipulation, or they call it RNG manipulation sometimes, but that's not really the case because battles aren't RNG. It is a set step counter and an encounter table, so you can consistently, in the vanilla version, predict how many steps it's going to be to the next battle and what kind of enemy set you're going to get. Now, this one, I don't know if it works in the so-called improved RNG patch. And here we're at the bottom floor of the volcano, and I know just from playing the vanilla version that the flame armor is off to the left and KARY is in the bottom left. The other spokes of this room, because it is kind of a big, I think an 8-sided wheel almost, it has spokes going out in different directions. And they kind of go by compass directions, north, south, east, west, and then northeast, southwest, etc. And I know that this is guarded by a flame dragon, so that's consistent with the vanilla version. Although I believe the vanilla version you have to fight the flame dragon, or you have to fight another trapped battle twice to get in there. I think the flame dragon you just have to fight once, but there is, I think, an agama trapped square in the, there's a little kind of corridor to the chest that's blocked by, believe it or not, some candles. I think they're just candles on this bottom floor. So yeah, I can't go through the candles, have to go through that trapped agama square a couple of times. And then we also have a fire elemental built in here with our red dragon. So I'm not sure if that's what would happen every time we step on this square. If this maybe is an encounter that is 0 to 1 red dragons and 0 to 1 fire elementals. I'm not sure. So I don't have room for the flame armor, but I know I want it, so I'm going to drop that iron gauntlet and pick it up. So we're just going to make a quick trade here, quick adjustment of our equipment. But from the vanilla version, I know that most of that treasure is not notable, so I actually decided, even though this is an exploration hack, I was ready to go ahead and fight KARY. And if there were other notable treasures on this floor, they might just have to wait. Might have to wait for another run, because I feel ready to go. And this floor does sprawl quite a bit, and you get you get tired of fighting the fire elementals. When you fought enough of them, you feel like you fought enough of them. So in this video, we won't be seeing what's at the end of all those other spokes. So there is something notable out there. I guess I missed it, so let me know if there is something notable that I should come back and grab, or the world needs to see. But on this quote-unquote blind playthrough of this beta version of this hack, we're just going to go down to see what KARY is up to. Although KARY may have an updated translation of the name, we will see. So I'm going to heal up. So no trapped battles in front of KARY. That's nice. And we have the reworked tiles down here where you have the more traditional, later Final Fantasy style crystal with the facets on it. It's not just an orb. Show you the force of fire and you shall burn in its flames. That's very similar to what is said in the vanilla version. Here is Marilith. So this boss did indeed get a translation update. I think they were shooting for, in in the Japanese version translating into English, they were shooting for the Indian multi-armed snake god Kali with an L, but we have a little bit of Japanese to English RL switching. So here's X Fire firing off, so that would protect us from any future Fire 2s that she might fire off. In the vanilla version, her spell table is Fire 2, Dark, Fire 2, Dark, Fire 2, Hold, Fire 2, Hold. And she has a 48 out of 128 chance to cast a spell on any given turn. I think that is a 1 in 3 chance-ish. Something like that. It's close to 1 in 3. So it rolls to see if she should cast the next spell in her progression or if she should just use a physical attack. I'm okay. Really, in this battle, I'm okay with either, although she does get 6 hits if she does a physical attack. She does have 6 attempts to get those hits. And here I've used Fast to bump up my own character's attacks. And so she gets 6 hits because I believe has 6 arms. So they have worked that in, that she gets 1 hit per arm, which is kind of a cool thing to build in, I think. I do try to cast Fear on her because in the vanilla version, she is weak to the status element. And so kind of the classic thing, you can land some statuses on her. And Fear is one of them that you can semi-reliably land Fear on KARY. And you actually, if you knock her a few times with it, you can get her to run away. I wasn't able to land it this first time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she isn't susceptible to it anymore. Here we get our level up to 18. It just means that I missed on that one chance. So that's something we may have to just find out later, and possibly in a guide or README when this reaches its finished point. Again, the emulator doesn't quite emulate the animation of the spirit flying out, but that's okay. There we go, we're saving up. We have a couple of crystals lit. We're finished with the Gurgu Volcano. The next video, we will be crawling the ice cave and seeing what's going on with the eye and all of the one-shot kills that can be hanging out down there, although I'm guessing it's not going to be quite as threatening as a ZZ style hack, or even as the vanilla version. The curve seems to be pretty healthy in this one. So if you liked the video, do give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, I guess you can give me a thumbs down. Do leave a comment. I love to hear from you, and we will see you next video.